Festival returns to Manila just in time to celebrate 77 years of diplomatic relations between the Philippines and the UK. Joining us for more, to give us a sneak peek, British Chamber of Commerce of the Philippines Executive Director Chris Nelson. Hi, Chris. Good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning, and good morning to you and to all your viewers.
Chris, before we get to the British Festival, I want to start with this big news. I mean, top officials from Britain's financial sector are setting out a blueprint later this year to kickstart London's role as a post-Brexit global financial center by 2030. How do you view the recent banking turmoil and the crisis of confidence and UK's role in all of this?
Well, I think if you look at the banking crisis, which obviously started off with the bank of Silicon Valley Bank failing in the US, I think the regulators have taken very prompt and swift action, both in the US, UK, and obviously then clearly in Switzerland, because obviously with the now sale of Credit Suisse to UBS. I think also from what I can see and from what most analysts are saying is this is very different from the 2008-2009 crisis. The banking sector is in a much stronger state, ratios are much stronger, and therefore I think the way they promptly moved was clearly learnings as well from 2008-09. So coming specifically to the UK, I think the banking system is much stronger than it was in 2008-09. Clearly, what the challenges are for the UK is obviously to get growth. I think now the revised forecast is 0.2 climb for the economy. But I think inflation, I think as noted in one of your earlier interviews, is now starting to trend downwards, which obviously is a good indicator. So banking sector is in a good state, or is in a state to handle this. And I think all credit, I think the regulators acted promptly in many countries to obviously give confidence back. And you can see that again in the stock markets.
Very interesting times we're in, Chris? And more exciting and more interesting would be what's happening this weekend. You're expecting, 200,000 people to visit the Great British Festival? Well, that's a lot of people. What's up? What's there to do? What's happening there? And who's going to be there?
Sure. So first of all, we're very excited. And 200,000 people, maybe even more. I mean, that's the regular turnover that's estimated. We have already 39 companies and organizations that will be displaying, and over half of those will be having interactive games. So you've got major companies, of course, such as Shell, True Life, HSBC. You've got Marks and Spencer's. You have, though, some of our newer members promoting. You have CyberQ, which is going to focus on cybersecurity. You're going to have Union Jack, an long-standing member, which on the food and beverage, along with One World Butchers and Borough Pizza. So I think what people are going to see there and experience is all the foods and brands that are currently here and people enjoy as British business, and that's why trade and investment has grown. But at the same time, I'd like to compliment our partner, which is the British Council. They're going to put on a very varied entertainment program, both focusing on music. We're hoping we're going to get the Spice Girls for you, Mimi. But certainly there'll be the Beatles. We hope they can also do some of the other later ones, such as, of course, Coldplay and others. We'll see these are cover bands. And, of course, we're definitely going to have culture. That will be on day 2, the More Family Day, when we're going to have, obviously, Shakespeare. We're hoping to have some indication of UK sport, but so it can be the rich traditions. And I just like to thank also, of course, our embassy, particularly our ambassador, Lord Beaufils, and actually the deputy ambassador, Alistair White, for their initiatives on this, right? And for obviously driving this. So very exciting time, interactive, and we encourage everybody to go along and take part.
And really, this bullishness that you're sounding today, Chris, it's a really perfect way to also make known how strong our trade relations have been. I understand UK-Philippine trade hit £2.1 billion in 2022, and we did see a strong increase in British pork exports to Manila. What sort of growth are you seeing this year, though? Because the whole world is bracing for an economic slowdown. Are you getting a sense from the British companies here in Manila that they're sort of preparing for a slowdown as well, or are they still gung-ho with investments?
No, I think they're still very optimistic. I mean, I'll just make a couple of points. First of all, we just had a recent visit, 3rd of March, from Natalie Black. She's the U.S. Trade Commissioner, Southeast Asia, based in Singapore. And obviously, she's very happy with the work done here, and obviously the efforts both by the embassy and the chamber and how we work together. And if I look at British, I look at, first of all, let's take the Philippine economy. We've definitely seen a recovery there. You see a lot of activity. And we see growth, and I think British companies doing business in the Philippines are very optimistic about future potential. And as you rightly said, I mean, obviously the picture behind me of the quality pork from Britain, we had a 34% growth in 2022, and going forward for this year in 2023. Obviously, it's a much higher base, but one can assume that we're going to be growing again in double digits. So I think we're optimistic. And I think that links back, if I may say, to your previous interview, where I think Asia and Southeast Asia has good growth prospects.
Are there new names that we're expecting to enter the Philippine market?
Well, I think, first of all, if I link it to the festival, not specifically this year, we've done it quite quickly. We had a 4-month period, and all credit to get it back up and running. However, I'm confident in just linking it to the festival going forward that if we're successful, hope to continue.
Okay.
And then we'll be able to use that as an intro for new names. And I'd just like to make a comment. They just recently passed the IRR on the Public Service Act, which was signed back a year ago. And I think all credit to NEDA for getting that completed. And that will be interesting because now that obviously gives clearly the rules and regulations for companies. So I anticipate, we've always saying that UK companies are very interested in the Philippines, and we're going to continue to promote that strongly.
Final question very quickly, Chris. You mentioned the IRR for the PSA. Because you have a forum, upcoming forum in April. It's all about breaking economic barriers, making the Philippines an investment destination. I mean, after the 3 economic bills passed by the Duterte administration, what else needs to be liberalized? What other legislative barriers do you think needs to be lowered or removed? Because there's now growing calls for a constitutional amendment. Is that still necessary from a foreign investor's perspective?
Yeah, look, I mean, I've seen that, and we've actually been invited to give our views. I'd say yes. I mean, first of all, within the Constitution, we have to study that carefully. There is still economic barriers, or there is a negative investment list. And I think in this context, I'd like to congratulate the previous administration, obviously Duterte for the passage of those bills, but also obviously for President Marcos for keeping this momentum and reinforcing his pledge in the sonar, which is to make the Philippines an investment destination. But let's not forget, Mimi, we're acting here. There are other countries also moving, so we at the Philippines have to keep that going, that momentum. And I do think there are good points to look at on the economic provisions within the Charter. So we're optimistic, and we appreciate the fact that it continues to be a push forward to open up the economy, and we'll support that.
All right. On that note, Chris, always good to see you. Hope I bump into you in the Great British Festival. See you soon.
Look forward to seeing you there. Please take part in one of the games.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Now,